Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Stranger Things Season 3, Episode 4, and we're going to get, and I have a mnemonic, and it is, Season 3, Episode 4, The Sauna Test. That is the name of the episode, and we're going to get into, and I have a mnemonic, Fired Buyers Property Erica. All right. So Jonathan and Nancy are fired from the Hawkins Post. I have not been able to say the name of the Hawkins newspaper. It is the Hawkins Post. So they are fired from the Hawkins Post. This is extremely upsetting to Jonathan, and they have a very real fight, which is interesting because one of the parts of the show is just showing that these young romances are quite volatile, right? There's a lot of fighting and a lot of either breakups or close to breakups, and it is quite fascinating. So basically they are so the two of them are fired, and the reason they're fired is Nancy just absolutely refuses to do starter work, right? She's like, I need to be a big investigative reporter. And it is interesting because there really does need to be this investigative reporting, but at the same time, she is absolutely not the person to be doing it because she's, low man on the totem pole and has just arrived. And I do love that juxtaposition where she's 100% right. They really need to be investigating all this. And at the same time, she is like brand new in the job and is not respecting anybody with any hierarchy. It's both. It is real. I find that absolutely fascinating part of the show. So you have this going on, and then and then at this point we return to Jim Hopper dealing with the mayor. And one of the things I was impressed with the Duffer Brothers is Jim Hopper versus the mayor is a very real fight. One of the things that's very cool about this is these are two men with power, both of who have overcome many, many bullies, many people who have stood in their way, they're guys who get things done, right? And usually you see guys who get things done going up against guys and gals who really don't have any idea how the world actually works. So to see two predators, this is like a tiger versus a lion fight. And it is pretty impressive. So Jim Hopper literally strong arms the mayor and is like, what's going on, man? Something clearly is not right. And he literally, physically accosts him, the mayor. And finally the mayor is like, he exposes the Russian buyers, right? He says, hey, these Russians came and they've been buying property all over Hawkins, right? And the reason why they bought these properties was multiple purposes. First, they needed to get Starcourt set, and then also they have these properties that are satellites around Starcourt, right? So Jim Hopper gets this information, and then at that point he goes from dealing. And then he actually handcuffs. So Jim Hopper handcuffs the mayor in his place and in his home. And then when the mayor's wife gets home, he's like, get me a phone immediately. And he calls the Russians to say, listen, Jim Hopper's coming, right? Which again, just absolutely fascinating. Just the stakes of this are very high. And then at this point, Jim Hopper goes back to Joyce and is like, and he's kind of like, he's coming from the perspective of, hey, I really don't like that whole romance thing. You stood me up on his date, but we're back in full on. Hawkins has a hellmouth, supernatural weirdness, and actually he doesn't even know that supernatural weirdness, but he's like, you were saying that magnets were falling off, and like, I hate to say this, but you are dead on right. Something really, really weird is happening. And then him and Joyce go out and begin to investigate these properties. So these are houses around Hawkins that the Russians have bought up. that are generally empty, right? Because they need them for specifically to stage, I think to stage equipment for the new gate opener. They're attempting to open the upside down gate that was already closed in Hawkins. And I think the reason why they're doing it here, well, we already know the reason why they're doing it here. The reason why they're doing it here is they had already had this situation where the reason why they're doing it here in Hawkins is they had been trying to open it in Russia. We saw that already, and they had no success in trying to open it in Russia. So they've set up in Hawkins because the veil is already pierced once, and they're thinking that it'll be easier to open it again, which we know is correct, right? So that is correct, that they are right about being able to open that. So then finally we get to Erica, and we get back to the Scoops Ahoy team, and the Scoops Ahoy team, they're almost all the way there. They realize something is definitely at Starcourt, and they found an entrance to this secret location within the Starcourt Mall that the Russians have created. And so they're ready to go in, and then Dustin, they're like, okay, get in there, Dustin. Dustin can't get in. Steve Harrington's way too big. And then they're like, Robin's like, well, I got thin shoulders, I can do it. And then so she's just about to go in. She can't do it either. So finally they realize they need somebody really small, and they contact Erica. So Erica is Lucas Sinclair's little sister. And so finally she comes out, and they have a negotiation, and she makes the Scoops Ahoy employees create every single menu item on the Scoops Ahoy menu for her, and then demands ice cream for life. And so that is her cost. And she goes through this tiny little air duct and makes it through and gets the entire Scoops Ahoy team, Steve Harrington, Dustin Henderson, and Robin, all the way through, and her Erica, to this room that has these like glowing green containers, which they don't know if it's energy or some type of liquid. And then finally they realize this room is not an elevator. This room is not a traditional room. It's actually an elevator that goes down to the secret base that the Russians have built below. And so we'll cut it off there. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion, nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.